And I was in absolute horror. Why the hell would a so-called professional company do this? What is the reason? What is the reason that you need to remove the bracelet for and do it so carelessly, knowing that it isn't your watch? I'm Watch Investor Vinny, and thanks for joining me back on the channel. Now, at the moment, lots of us are turning towards consignment as an option really to sell our watches in a market where prices are falling. Clients are choosing to go down the consignment route, and probably because they're being forced down that route as well, with dealers like myself who are a little bit more wary as to actually commit capital into buying pieces outright. When you consign your watch, how do you know and how can you be sure that they really are the right people to do business with and will have a good duty of care when that watch is in their possession? We actually do also consignments, not just for clients, but we engage in that practice ourselves with other dealers. So sometimes to quickly move on stock, that's what we'll do. We actually experienced an issue with a company that we were consigning with not long back, which cost us £2,000. We had a watch on consignment with them, and they ended up losing the links to the watch, the tags to the watch. We didn't get the original watch box back, and it was a 2022 watch that was 1 month old. To add insult to injury, they scratched the watch to shit as well. They removed the bracelet from the watch. God only knows why you'd want to do that on a 2022 piece that's brand new. It was a Rolex date just 41 Wimbledon dial on a Jubilee bracelet. They actually scratched those inside lugs, but also even worse, when the spring bar tools were released, on Rolex they're under quite a lot of pressure, and they're very strong and very robustly made, so they were released from the bracelet and actually scratched or dug a trench out of one of the lugs as well. Bear in mind, this is a 2022 brand new piece that we were selling as unworn. A tragic story for us, because we had no choice but to lose money from that, because we could no longer advertise it as unworn anymore. What happened was it was a couple of months ago, so we bought a watch in that was unworn, 2022 Wimbledon. Should have really been a very easy sale because it's a highly sought after piece. When did we buy this? It was February time. So in February, the market hadn't yet dipped. Really, it was booming. It was at its highest point. The market then took a slight turn into March, and things started going downhill from there. So we were looking at some pieces that we had in our collection that we were looking to offload and move on, that really had been sitting around for too long, and weighing up, right, which ones should we consign? So we decided, right, what we'll do is we'll send it to a company who we worked with before on a consignment deal. And we'd actually made thousands of pounds with this company before. However, on this occasion, we took the watch to them it was really just before the market took a real steep dip. It was sitting with them for over a month. And obviously, generally in the watch business, a consignment deal, whether you're a client or another dealer, is 30 days. We had that agreement with them, and the 30 days passed, so we decided, right, we'll go take that watch back, we'll rephotograph it, remarket it, and this is where the horror story begins. We went back to the store and we picked the watch up, and everything at first glance seemed to be fine. We talked to them about, right, have you got the boxes for it? Have you got the spare links that we also provided, 3 Jubilee spare links? Have you got the original jeweler swing tag, which has got the corresponding serial number on it? We also provided the original jeweler receipt as well. And all this is amazing. You know, it's amazing for a collector because it provides what we call provenance, and provenance adds value to a watch. We had a couple of other watches with them as well, and they only sort of had 2 Rolex boxes in their store that they could provide back to us. So we had the 3 watches back and only 2 Rolex boxes, plus the 3 guarantee cards that are provided, which have the serial number on it. He understood, yeah, you may not have the boxes with you right now. But when we got the watch back, we actually saw that the watch had been damaged. So as I mentioned before, there were scratches on the inside of the lugs, and this is quite obvious where these scratches come from. We've seen it many times before, usually on older watches, not a brand new 2022. What happens is that clients may have a tool that they've bought for a couple of quid off eBay, and sometimes periodically decide to change up their strap, replace the Jubilee or Oyster bracelet with a rubber one, a rubber B, and when they do that, they actually scratch the lugs because the metal tool that they're using, they're just not careful with. So what happens with them is when the tool is inserted into the groove where you can pull the spring bar back to release it, when it's released, it actually springs back on itself. Let's be frank, this is something that's worth £10,000. So you've got to be careful with it. If you got your car back from the garage that was a brand new 2022 BMW for a service and it's got the rear end smashed in, you're not going to be happy with it, are you? And you don't expect that from a professional company. Now, what are your options when you get a watch back like that? Well, obviously, polish it is the only real option. That would be fine if it was just the bracelet or even the side flanks of the case. If it's a polished case, it's easy to just run over that with a machine, light marks. But what we were talking about here was a massive trench taken out of one of the lugs, which really needed laser welding. And laser welding is a process that we use to fill in big scuffs on a watch, and then it is ground down and polished afterwards. I mean, I can speculate as to why you need to remove the bracelet. My guess is they had a client come in that said, oh, I don't really like the Jubilee, I want to try it on an Oyster, so maybe they tried to remove the bracelet, or someone less experienced in the company tried to remove the bracelet while standing with a tool that wasn't sufficient for the job, did not mask the lugs off. This particular dealer has a massive Instagram presence. They've got over 10,000 followers on Instagram. Now the problem is, in this day and age, we've become too accustomed to trusting or adding credibility to a company that we see on Instagram with several thousand followers, or over 10,000 followers, it seems, as a sort of medal, a golden badge of honor or trustworthiness. And that's where you can be caught off your guard. Eventually they posted the box back to us. The box was absolutely not the same box that we provided them with. And then in the box, you look in there and there's no original purchase receipt. There's no original swing tag with the corresponding serial number, and there was no green seal. Three things that are part of the full package when you buy it originally from the authorized dealer. They actually went off and said, we've had a look and we can't find the receipt that you provided. When I actually challenged this guy about the fact that the swing tag was missing, his response was, well, you can't wear the swing tags. And, for him, obviously, it didn't seem to be a major issue. Perhaps it doesn't matter so much to his clients, but my God, it matters to me, it matters to my clients, and I think generally to the vast majority of collectors, it does matter. So what had happened is basically they'd sold another watch, and my original box, which I provided them with the Wimbledon in it, they gave away with another piece, which obviously went off with that receipt, with that swing tag, and God knows where they are now. We could no longer sell this watch as unworn. I could no longer say it's brand new, having lost those bits and bobs that the consignment company misplaced. We actually took a £2,000 loss on it. The reason I'm making this video is not because I'm going to name and shame who these guys are. I don't want to do that, it's unprofessional, but because I want to really shine a light on this issue of who do you trust. Really, there's a list of things that you can do, but they all come under that sort of umbrella of due diligence. Do your research. Don't just trust what you see across social media. Now, with a fine watch, and a Rolex in particular, there are certain ways of handling it that a true professional and true collector would know and understand. For example, when placing a watch down on a table, if you actually go in and you speak to them and you just look at how they handle the watches that they're dealing with, are they placing a watch down on the table flat so that the inside of the clasp actually scratches the case back, which isn't the best practice to do. What they really should be doing is placing the watch on its side. You can even look at how they handle their watches on their Instagram. Have they got a full wrist full of 7 Rolexes all glued together along the arm and smacking into each other and scratching the crap out of each other's cases? You know, that, to me, I'd look at that and think, well, that isn't a great practice either. Are these guys really professional? If you're worried about the accessories, spare links and swing tags being lost whilst in their possession, keep them. Keep them until they get a call. You get a call from them saying, yeah, we've got a guy here who wants to buy this watch. We're ready to do the deal. At that point, obviously, then you go travel down to them and you give them the rest of the accessories. Great, deal done. They've sold the watch for you on consignment. If they don't come to sell it on consignment, you've always got those bits and bobs that you can be confident that you've kept to one side that you're not going to lose. Now, I want to say that we have also done consignments with other dealers who have handled the whole process much more professionally. Namely, we actually have received consignment agreements in written form as a written document from other guys that we've done deals with before to say, yes, this is the watch that you've got with us. These are the parts that you've provided, the accessories that you've provided with the watch, and all of that seems very professional and is standard practice across the board for many things. It is a contract, and everybody feels more safer and more secure when there's a contract in place and it's in writing. Now, we didn't get that from these guys who damaged our watch and lost those accessories, which really should have been a red flag to us. We're talking about something here that's worth tens of thousands of pounds. So every little detail, every little thing matters. And in this hobby, it really matters, you know, what colour the dial is, what type of bracelet is on the watch, how worn the watch is, what age the watch is, what paperwork is provided with the watch, are service papers provided, are the boxes genuine or fake? All of these details stack up to create a value. So there we are, guys, a little bit of a horror story, but there are some lessons to be learned from our experiences there. Don't make the same mistakes that I made with that one, just really trusting the credibility that you see splashed all over Instagram and social media in the form of their number of followers. It isn't the best way to do business. Be careful. Exercise due diligence, look for some red flags. Also, when buying a watch, don't be afraid to ask about the history of the watch. Who did you buy it from? What was their situation? And if the dealer is open and honest with you, which they should be, then, you know, they've got nothing to hide. If they are more shady in answering, then move on to the next one. Because right now, guys, it's a buyer's market. I've been watching Invest the Vinny. Remember to subscribe, like, and hit your comments down below. And I'll see you in the next video next week. Take care.